deals about drive modeling and stability analysis. Okay, what do you understand by stability, and why do you need to analyze it? What is the purpose of it? What is drive modeling? What is drive basically, especially when it comes to robots? What is the purpose of a drive system? Any idea? What is stability? At least, can you please give an input on stability? No idea. A person walks on a road. Suddenly, if some oil spill was there, if he is walking at a higher velocity, let us say he is making his footsteps much faster, what is the tendency that he will lose his stability? There is a high probability, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Probability of slip might happen at any point, thereby he might lose stability. If stability is lost, what happens? If stability is lost, he would fall off. Okay, he would fall on the ground. Okay, so what are the factors that has impacted on the stability of a person? First thing is oil spill. Okay, because there the ground texture, the friction that is caused by the ground has been completely to more or less greater extent has been removed by oil. Because of no friction, there is no stability, right? That's what the ultimate answer. Okay, no friction, no stability. That is first thing. Then how will you analyze this? What is the root cause for stability here is what the analysis what we are doing, right? So root cause is oil spill, right? So in this chapter especially we'll be learning about ground robot locomotion. Okay, ground robot locomotion means the robots which move on a surface. That's a general term that is used for ground robot locomotion. Then legged locomotion, wheel locomotion. There are different types of locomotion. Track of slippage. Okay, tracking of slippage, and walking wheels. Okay, walking wheels. And we'll be dealing about concepts of stability and conditions for stability. How will you analyze the stability? Improper and proper system and its characteristic equation we'll be looking into. Then we'll have the concept of stability from pole zero location. That's a proper way of doing it through some methods. Okay, we will do it through different analysis. Route system is one typical type where you can make an array of the elements that are impacting the stability, and you can define which system is stable and which system is unstable. Followed by you have root locus method. Okay, which is a very fundamental part to analyze if you are given with a system. Okay, any system, no matter if it is a robot or if it is a gripper, you take any typical system. So with that system, how the stability, you can define using the root locus method, you can define whether the system is stable or not. That's the ultimate aim of this particular chapter. Okay, why especially drive modeling? Why you need a drive modeling analysis, or drive modeling is very much required when you are talking about a robot? Why drives have a major role? Okay, let me tell you. So for example, you are planning to design a robot whose weight is, let us say, 5 kg. That's the payload, that's the dead load. Okay, dead load. So what is the torque that is required to drive 5 kg? See, you have 4 motors. Okay, in order to make the robot move, it is carrying a load of 5 kg. So what is the total load acting on the thing? That is mass into g, mg, right? The total force that is required to move the robot is F is equal to mg. Okay, neglecting height, right? Neglecting height. Here, what is the first thing is we have mass into the gravity that is acting. As altitude increases, for example, if you are making the same robot to move on an altitude, let us say height of h, So then H comes into picture, right? So especially when you are selecting a drive for this thing, how much torque is required? So torque is basically what is the unit of a torque? Any idea? What is unit of a torque?
Newton meter.
Newton meter. Newton is the unit of force. Okay, Newton meter. That means this much amount of force that is acting on a body having certain dimension, right? This much of a force that is acting on a body having certain dimension. Let us say our wheels are circular, disc shaped things. Okay, so we have why we have chosen them is rolling friction is very less, so that's the reason we have gone for what do you call roller type of wheels. Okay, let us say those are wheels. Especially the contact surface also plays a major role. Contact surface plays a major role, because since the wheel is rotating, it's a continuous time variant structure. Okay, so the surface of the contact will vary with respect to time, right? There also you have to make what is the area of contact. Okay, more the area of contact, more can be the friction that is generated, more the amount of force that you have to apply. So we have to normalize, or we have to minimize the area of contact, thereby you can reduce the friction. But there is a problem: if there is no friction, stability again will go off, right? You have planned this robot to go on certain height of h. In that case, what is the torque that is required? Okay, torque varies, torque requirements varies. So every time, since torque is varying, you cannot change the drive mechanism. Let us say the motor, the electrical motor, generally ground robots, or maybe mobile robots to be precise, these robots have the motors which require different torques at different positions, or maybe different locations, right? If you are planning to make the robot to move on a terrain, all terrain, that is a rough terrain, you have to go for a greater torque, because more the unevenness, more will be the torque requirement. If it is a flat thing, like your some mezzanine floor, or maybe a floor that is at your home, so there you require less torque, because you need not to worry, because the surface is more or less flat. You need not to worry about the torque much, because the torque requirements there would be very nominal, right? Okay, so these are certain things when you have to design a robot that you have to look in. Okay, so as I said, first thing is you should understand, since you are dealing with robots that are bio-inspired. What do you mean by bio-inspired robot? What is a bio-inspired?
Inspired from like nature, like animals.
Inspired from nature. Meet, any answers, Meet?
Whether we using the structure
Okay. Okay.
of the animal which is having an already having that path.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other answers? Aldrin?
So design obtained from nature, sir.
Design obtained from nature. What do you mean by design in this case especially?
Like aeroplane body is derived from birds.
Okay.
That streamlined body
Okay.
is used to reduce force, like it will reduce the torque needed.
Okay. Anushri, any idea what do you mean by bio-inspired object or bio-inspired robot? What do you mean by that?
Similar answer only, sir, like the example that he gave, not much height.
Okay, so how would you define the structure of the robot when it is bio-inspired? Whether it is a simpler structure or a complex structure? Yeah, Anushri.
It should be a simpler structure.
Okay, but nature is not very simple. Nature is very complex, if I am not wrong. Mahita, any answers for this? Whether the robot structure should be simpler or a complex, because you are inspiring it from the nature, whether it is simpler thing or a complex thing.
It is complex thing.
Okay, if it is a complex thing, how would you execute it, or how would you make that robot? What are all the things that you have to undergo? Okay. In any other answers? Anybody volunteer to answer? Like Sudhakar? No idea.
No, sir.
Okay. Prakash just now spoke. Nikhil, any answers? What do you understand by a bio-inspired robot? First thing is the structure, the physical structure. Then after that, what would you look in a bio-inspired robot?
Sir, simply by using the natural like that, we can implement the things. We can see how the robots can be mechanized, so that these can also be mechanized with various programs like that.
Okay. I would like
By
to
doing
listen
the
from some
stuff.
mechanical students rather than the electronic students speaking. I would like to listen from mechanical students because they mostly might have worked on structural part. Meet, any answers?
Yeah.
What do you understand by a bio-inspired structure?
Learning
you
a
will-
concepts from the nature and
Learning the
apply.
concepts from nature. Okay, but here we are not learning the concepts. Okay, we are learning the concepts to maybe lesser extent, but we are more interested with the structure. Why? We are interested with the structure. Why? What is the reason? Inzamam, any answers from you?
So bio-inspired is like whenever you encounter a problem, you search for solutions in the nature. Like the blood trains in Japan. For aerodynamics, they basically saw how kingfishers went inside the water like that. I think so, not sure.
Okay, so ultimately it is structure. Bio-inspired physical organism will follow a typical structure, which is very much essential to look into to understand certain concepts. Can you name some concepts why structure is very important? You take any structure, especially in robots, you take any structure. This structure should have certain kinematics. It should follow certain motion. Am I correct? It should follow certain motions. Okay, so those motions will entirely depends upon the nature again. Okay, for example, if you are planning to make a robot which should move in a flow channel, just like a fish, it has to flow in a channel. What kind of forces or what kind of resistive forces that you experience is hydrodynamic forces. Okay, hydrodynamic forces. Okay, so these hydrodynamic forces are again a complex thing. You assume a fish. Okay, right? It is subjected to forces from front end because it is moving forward, because your movement is, let us say, forward movement, FR. Okay, forward movement of the robot, and opposing forces or resistive forces is F small r. These forces will exist in 3 dimensions, right, from X, Y and Z. Okay, X, Y and Z. But it has to overcome all the 3 forces in order to commence forward. So its structure should support in order to do that, right? Structure should support. So what kind of motion, what kind of kinematic motion it should flow? It should flow in an eddy fashion. Okay, it should flow in an eddy fashion, just like it's like a zigzag motion. Okay, it should move in this pattern, right? Then we have one more typical thing. What is this thing? Can you tell? What is this thing? It looks like some worm, right? It should like move in a fashion of a longitudinal fashion. So it should, the movement would be like this. So it should hold at this point, it should hold at one point, and it will bend its complete body structure in order to move forward. Okay, at times it will release this, at times it will release this part, right? So basically what kinematics you get is a longitudinal vibration. Okay, you get a longitudinal vibration. Can you tell what is this thing? It's a snake, right? What is the locomotion of a snake? What do you call that? Snakes do, they slide. Okay, they crawl, they slide. So here it is more or less like to the worm, but it has a transverse vibration. It has a transverse vibration. It moves its body in a three-dimensional space exactly in a transverse fashion, and hence the transverse vibrations here, right? And what is this thing? It looks something like a cheetah. Okay, so cheetah excuse me, cheetah will follow a simple oscillatory movement. It will make the leg movements forward and backward, okay, with a 3-link. It's a 3-link. Let us assume this is link 1, which will move to certain angle. Link 2 supports this.
So we can see the slide.
Just a second. Now, okay, this part, have you seen this part? Hello,
Yes, sir.
this part you have visualized completely.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Previously you have not checked it. Okay, for a fish, this is like the hydrodynamic forces acting upon 3-dimensional, so you have eddies here. For a worm, it is frictional forces that will create resistance, and the kinematic motion would be a longitudinal vibration. Similarly, you have a sliding or a crawling for your snake, where you have frictional forces again, but the motion is a transverse vibration. It's a transverse vibration for a snake. Next one, for a animal, for a bio-inspired animal like cheetah, because it's a very fastest, one of the fastest moving animals on the earth. So whatever the kinematic link that you get, or the kinematic motion, what you get will resemble an oscillatory multi-link pendulum. Okay, multi-link pendulum. Just assume a pendulum here. It got multiple links. Okay, so the motion would follow the same fashion. Let us assume why there is a 3 degree of or a 2 degree of motion. Okay, degree 1 here, degree 2 here. Okay, link L1 here, L2 here, and there is a rotary part. Right? Similarly, what is this thing? It's a deer. Okay, it's a deer. Even this follows the same kinematic motion just like here cheetah, but instead it will jump. Okay, it will jump. The motion would be in this fashion. Right? Okay, any other doubt till now? Okay, the last one. Okay, we call it as humans. Okay, we do walk on 2 legs. Whatever the kinematic motion that we get is basically rolling polygon. Okay, but here whatever the frictional forces that act is, we have to balance the gravity. At the same time, our foot has to balance the friction. Okay, these two things would likely to happen. Okay, so we have seen here there is a rolling polygon, because the movement here for a human being is to and fro, right? It's a to and fro motion. You have 3 links. Okay, link 1, link 2, and your leg, the foot is also another link. Okay, just like this. So you got a 3 link, so you will get 3 degree of freedom for each leg, right? But your foot cannot balance the rotary part fully. It is also limited. Even your leg cannot balance the rotary part. It is limited only to certain angle, right? Whatever the kinematic motion you get is basically a rolling polygon. Okay, you can just have a look. So when first step is made forward, it will take one end of your any typical polygon, and then followed by the second step. It follows the same pattern. So you will get a polygon. If you roll a polygon on a straight line, okay, if a person is walking on a straight line, when you roll it, so the movement will be exactly like a polygon movement, right? What is this biped analogy? We human beings are biped because we walk on 2 legs. We are not like any other living organisms on the earth. who basically cannot withstand completely on two legs. Okay, we feel that we are the most intelligent living thing on the earth. So we have a lot of things like balancing body. Right from balancing the body, you have a greater sense. Okay, so all these things together, we should give an analogy of a rolling polygon for human being. Okay, for example, a human being walks on a flat surface, assuming this surface is flat, and d, okay, d is the span of the step. This is basically, it will vary. Okay, it will vary with respect to time, hence it is d by dt of d. Okay, this will vary with respect to time.
Sir.
Sorry.
Sir, the slide is in fourth slide itself, sir. It's not changing.
So it is basically rate of change of displacement, isn't it? It's rate of change of displacement, or in simple terms, rate of change of your footstep, because your footsteps will not be uniform, right? If you are walking like that, people used to call us as robots. Okay, so our footsteps distance or the span of the step will vary. So hence it is d by dt of d. Okay, similarly, if you draw an axial line, if this is the axial line, if you draw exactly at the center of the human being, you will get an axial line. So the distance between, okay, the distance between one step to other step is actually divided into 2 exactly, that is d by 2. Okay, so each step length is d by 2. One step you make d by 2 distance only. Okay, and in order to make this distance, your leg links, okay, a leg links having a length of L, can only make an angle of alpha. Okay, can only make an angle of alpha. Cumulatively it is alpha, but if you just take for one step, the maximum angle you could make is alpha by 2. Or in certain cases people do consider it as 2 alpha for a complete step. So for alpha for one step. Okay, alpha for one step, right? And you have certain other things like this alpha is called as angle of sweep. Okay, greater the angle of sweep, or if this alpha is also varying with respect to time. Okay, if this is also varying at a rate, okay, at a rate of, let us say, x units, okay, then it is called as running rather than walking. If alpha varies, then ultimately it will show an impact on d. Okay, is this clear? Alpha, okay, if alpha is greater, if alpha raises, then your d also will raise. If alpha goes down, your d also will come down, right? So alpha is the primary factor. Apart from alpha, since we are assuming the link length as L, okay, so you can cover a greater distance with larger link lengths. So L is also one important factor that will impact your d. Okay, alpha is one factor, L is one factor, but greater thing will be caused by L when compared with alpha. Okay, assume a kid is walking and a fully grown adult is walking, so their distance coverage is high because they have a larger length. Okay, alpha still exists, but it does not cause much impact on the change of d. But if alpha is varying very quickly, then it is called as running. Okay, so even L is fixed thing, so you cannot vary L. Okay, it is a fixed quantity, so then hence it is not considered in most of the cases. Okay, if fixed quantity exists in especially in a biped analogy, okay, we go with fixed L concept only because your height of the robot depends upon L, right? Any doubts in this?
No, sir.
Okay. What is this? These two things are very funny things. Have you just did you had a look? What is the first robot called as? It's a very both are very popular. Which brand makes this robot?
So we can't see it, sir. Honda, sir.
Sorry, Honda is this thing. What is this one? Very popular.
Toyota, sir.
Sorry. Any idea? Any others? It's from Sony. It's called as Curio. Okay, Curio, and Curio was derived from an English word that is curious, so hence the name. So what kind of analogy you could see here? What is this analogy called as?
Bipedal.
That is also bipedal. And then the other one? The other one is from which brand? Honda, as you said. What is the name of that? Any idea?
Asimov.
Asimov. Okay. Asimov was named after Isaac Asimov, who has framed up the laws of the robot. Okay, it's from Honda. Okay, both are very well advanced andro-humanoids. Okay, I would like to call them as andro-humanoids because they works on a typical platform, and their structure is more or less like zoomorphic. Zoomorphic is something like which behaves and acts like animals, so it's zoomorphic. And humanoid is since it replicates a human being, so hence the name. Can you tell how many degree of freedom does the leg have in this both the cases? What is the degree of freedom? What is the degree of freedom in case of Asimov and then Curio? How many links it got? Is the slide visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now
6 degrees of freedom.
2, 3. It is just like human, and hence the number of degree of freedom also would be similar to that of human's leg. It doesn't have 6 degree of freedom, it has only 3. Okay, if you combine both, it got 6. Okay, if you combine both, if your answer is correct. If you are assuming for one leg it is 3, combined together it is 6, right? How will you analyze such sort of robots, such sort of link lens, such sort of alpha, such sort of D? Okay, all these things as assumed with bipeds. Okay, so bipeds doesn't have any typical method to solve the dynamic stability. They don't have any typical method even today. Even today they don't have any method, but there is one method which is called as a practical approach which is called as 0 point method, 0 point or 0 moment method. Okay, what do you mean by momentum? 0 moment or 0 momentum. What is momentum? Any idea? What is momentum?
Mass into acceleration.
Mass into acceleration. But your robot is moving, hence it is accelerating itself. Am I correct? Your robot
Yes,
is
sir.
having certain mass. If I am making the momentum to 0, what happens? If the momentum is made to 0, what happens? That is called as braking. Am I correct? Your car moving with a velocity of 90 kilometers per hour, when you want to apply brakes, it won't stop at the right moment. It will take certain distance to stop, and the energy that is gained is because of its momentum, because of its mass, right? Am I correct? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you throw a ball in space, it will continue to move until external force is stopped, right? External force in this case is braking. Similarly, these robots also have a typical method which is called as 0 moment method. Okay, that is called as ZMP or 0 moment point method. Okay, which describes a point on the ground a point on the ground where all the momentums are equal to 0. Okay, this is an imaginary point. This is an imaginary point. There is no specific algorithm. How will you define this zero momentum point or zero moment point or ZMP? Okay, you assume the robot walks on a plane. The robot walks on a plane. Okay, there is no height concept, only x and y. Okay, z concept, because it is not jumping, so there is no z component. Z is equal to 0, right? When the robot moves on a terrain like this, okay, when a robot moves on a terrain, okay, the x-axial zero moment point and y-axial zero moment point can be individually identified. How? Using this formula, where xzmp is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n. Okay, I is equal to 1 to n. Why 1 to n? Based on the iterations. Mi, where m is the mass. Okay, z is what? Z is the, sorry,
Can you change the slide? It's not visible.
now I think it is visible now.
Yes, sir.
Rather I will.
Visible, sir.
Okay, so we have the z part. What is z here? We don't have any z component here. This can be completely neglected. G is gravity of xi minus sigma mx. X is, assume it to be a point on which is having some x and y, because it's a point, so the collaboration of both the things would be a point. So it is mi, that is again mass, into x zi. Okay, zi component, it depends upon the altitude. Okay, if it is climbing, then z would be coming into picture, but technically you don't have any z component. And what is this I and theta? What is this I and theta? We have inertial component, which is iy. Why it is in iy? Where inertial component along y-axis would become into existence, will be into existence if you are walking on a x plane. Okay, x plane. The same thing, if the inertia component is measured on the y plane, it will be an x component. Okay, x component will exist. Okay, similarly theta iy, okay, theta iy is the angular component of inertia. Okay, is the angular component of inertia, because position and angle both matters when you are dealing with robots. Okay, angle really matters. Okay, similarly you have the y0 moment point, which is sigma I is equal to 1 to n mi z plus g into yi minus mi y zi. Okay, zi will come into existence if you are planning to move any climbing operation, or if it is moving on a flat floor, this component will not exist. Okay, right. So you got another component of inertia, which is, since it is moving on y zero moment point, you have x component that is present as a inertia component in this, divided by sigma I mi z plus g. Okay, z plus g. But out of all these factors, which is the more stable factor in all the two equations? Which one is more stable? Whether g is stable, acceleration due to gravity, or gravity, simple gravity. Gravity is not stable, because since the robot is lifting its leg, okay, it will not be a constant thing. Okay, overall, on an average, if you could check, the component that is more stable in this case is mass. The whole mass of the robot m, okay, the mass of the robot m is more stable on all the things. The component is more stable. This component is more stable. Is this thing clear? Any other doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So that's just what and all components are there. Now, looking into all these things, okay, looking into all these things, what are all the key issues that you have to check while looking into locomotion? The first one is the number and geometry of the contact points. What is this contact point? If you just check for a cheetah, you just check a cheetah or a leopard, okay, not leopard to be precise, it's cheetah only, okay. Leopards cannot run as fast as cheetahs because they belong to same phyla, but they have some what do you call, structural variances, okay. Leopards cannot run, I mean they don't do the running at a very faster rate. You just check the geometry of the contact points. They have a nominal contact points of their legs. Have you checked it? They have only gripping points. That's the reason they got claws. Okay, you know what is a claw? Claw that has the nails and all. Okay, so the claw exists because the contact point surface should be gripped very quickly because it has the tendency, it has the capability to climb trees as well. Okay, cheetah can climb trees, so it will hold the tree bark and it will just climb. Okay, that's a locomotion. It has to be stable. Okay, hence the contact points. Assume a human being. Human being have very flat what do you call, legs, the foot. Okay, they have very flat foot. Reason, he has to maintain the stability on flat surfaces more, right? Humans doesn't have the tendency to climb trees all the time, or doesn't have the tendency to go and hunt for some animal. Okay, then let us assume the fish. What is the contact point of the fish? Contact point is its whole body. Similarly, assume the contact point of a bird. What is the contact point of a bird? The whole body again, right? Birds don't walk, they fly rather. Only for landing they'll use their feet, right? And the next one is center of gravity. What is the center of gravity? How it will be measured? Okay, it is an imaginary point. It is an imaginary point of any structure, of any shape, any size, any density, which will converge all the peripheral points into a single point. That's called a center of gravity. So mass plays a very crucial role in this case. Center of gravity or center of mass really plays a very crucial role. Okay. Then the third one is static and dynamic stability. What is static stability and what is dynamic stability? Assume a robot is standstill. Okay, let us assume an industrial robot which is standstill. It has more stability because it is fixed with the ground. So it can lift more weights, it can do a lot of work. Okay, it can do a lot of manipulations, it can do a lot of it can follow a lot of well defined paths. Okay, the last one is inclination of terrain. I have told no, inclination of terrain means what is the angle of the inclination, what is the angle of inclination. Clear? Now characteristics of the contact. Okay, characteristics of the contact means what is the contact point, what is the path size, what is the shape, angle of contact, friction, all these things comes into picture. Okay, type of environment. Okay, type of environment, that means it should have certain structure. As somebody was telling earlier, aeroplane has a very converging narrow structure at the front, but when it comes to back it has a very broader wings. Okay, coming to the tail part, it is again narrowed down because of lot of reasons, right? And the last one is medium, whether it has to go as an underwater robot or whether it has to float, whether it has to fly, whether it has to work on a hard ground or a soft ground. So all these things also comes into picture, right? So certain arrangement of animals, two-legged animals will have 2 or 4 legs. Okay, mammals basically. Reptiles will have a nominal 4 legs to some 6 or 8 legs or multiple legs. These are certain arrangement of animal legs. Okay, so let us come back to wheeled locomotion. So first one is legged locomotion. We have covered like what is the different type of leg locomotion you can get, bipeds, then how different things will work. All these things we have worked upon. Now we'll deal with something called as wheeled locomotion. Why wheeled locomotion is more preferred rather than any other locomotion in the world? In what terms it is stable?
In case of like suppose we have rugged terrains and stones might be moving, like if it has wheels, it's more stable than a biped.
Okay, when you compare with biped, it is more stable. But if it is for example, at that place, if I use a kind of flying robot, it is more stable there. Why I have to go for a wheeled locomotion? Got my point? Why would I apply a biped there when I have another option called as maybe a flying robot, maybe a drone or something, or a bird type of arrangement where it can fly?
Sir, in conditions like Mars rovers and all.
Mass plays a very crucial role here also. If you want to carry a payload of let us say 40 kg, it is technically not possible with a drone unless it is an RC coupled IC based drone or maybe a glider, small glider, right? Then any other factors? You are absolutely correct. Inzamam, I think. Any other factors that affects that a robot should only use wheels? With wheels, what basic advantage you get?
So it's easier to turn.
Easier to maneuver. Okay, very good. Then I want answers from the rest of the class. Any other answers? Why wheeled locomotion is more preferred than any other locomotions? Balaji?
So cost wise it will be cheap, sir.
Cost is also a very good factor. Very good. Then wheeled robots are much cheaper. Ramnath?
Easy to control, sir.
Easy to control. Simple mechanism, easy to control. Ramnath, you have any answers? Arvind is here.
Yes, sir.
Energy consumption is less compared to others.
Energy consumption is not definitely. It's not. It's compared to other elements. It is high only. No idea.
Power should be less using.
No, it consumes a good amount of power.
Efficiently.
Have you seen a drone's battery? It looks
Yes,
something
sir.
like this. Something like this, you might have seen it. Very
Yes, sir.
lightweight. At the same time, it cannot give you. LiPo. It cannot give you a continuous supply more than 20 to 30 minutes. But in case of wheeled robots, it is very high. You can make the robot to work for 2 hours continuously, or maybe 3 hours continuously. Any other answers?
They can be transported easily, sir.
Sorry? Transport?
They can be transported easily from one place to another, so the space occupation will be less.
Okay. Monica, you have any answers for this? Since you are from mechanical, I hope. You are from mechanical, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why wheeled robots are preferred than any other legged robot? What is the reason?
By increasing the width of the wheel.
By increasing the
Width of the wheel.
width of the wheel. Then, just in case if you cannot increase that, you have to go with a different combination, that is basically tracks. They call it as tracked locomotion. Okay, they call it as tracked locomotion. The reason for it that is because tracked locomotions will give a flat surface, okay, a flat surface on which this wheel will move, right? Tracked surface will always give a flat surface. On the flat surface the existing wheel will move, just like the train on tracks, right? So what is the problem with regular wheels? Let us talk about the problems with regular wheels. Regular wheels or wheel mechanisms, can you visualize this? Okay, so when you are talking about regular wheels, there are certain problems. The first problem is wheels are okay if the surfaces are flat or a rough terrain, but not a slippery terrain. Slippery terrain would include mud and water. Okay, any hydrophobic surface which will get down because of impact of water, just like sand. Sand is hydrophobic. Okay, sand is hydrophobic, but it will not exactly react with water, but it will just shrink. Then any other thing. And the second problem is the locomotion. Locomotion, the biggest advantage is wheels can deliver a direct drive. That means you connect a motor to a wheel and you control the motor parameters in order to control the wheel parameters. Very simple. If you want to change the RPM from 100 to 50, you can change the motor parameters, thereby the wheel parameters also will happen. I mean, automatically they can be changed. Followed by, you have wheels that are more steerable in nature. You can steer the wheels, just like you are steering your car or a bike or a scooter, you can steer the wheels. Okay. Then wheels are available at different diameters, different shapes, different materials depending upon the requirement. If the payload is going high, then the wheel type will change. Okay. Earlier we used to have simple solid metallic wheels. Now everything is alloy wheels, which will reduce the size, which is reduction. Size reduction is also there. At the same time, they give more stability, right? Alloy wheels are lighter but gives more stability. Okay, lighter wheels means less load on the engine, right? Similar to your motor, when it is connected with different types of wheels, it will act accordingly. Okay, for example, you have a Swedish wheel here, okay, which can rotate. This is also called as sliding wheels. Okay, it can rotate, at the same time it can slide. Then the next configuration is what do you call omni wheels. Omni wheels are used when you have when the direction has to be controlled automatically, right? That means when you give a push from any of the axial direction, for example X, Y or Z. Generally Z doesn't happen, but you have to take it in only X and Y. Okay, so in that case you go with omni wheels.